that growth is about energy. And I remember what Warren Buffett said, if you look for people, look for three qualities: intelligence, integrity, and energy. My question is, could you please give us an example? Let's say there is a big organization. Big size doesn't matter. It's not as agile as a startup company. Let's say this organization is already growing with the old culture, a slow ambience, and however, this organization would like to get an energized situation to achieve, let's say, prominent performance. Do you have kind of an example that this kind of organization could do kind of growth? How many years? And what is the lesson learned of them?
You mean transforming an organization from old?
Yeah, a big organization. Currently it's already and they already aware that they need to get fast. They need to embrace the technology driven, and they would like to get a goal that prominent performance, but they need kind of tips, very quick wins. Let's say in 1 year, 2 years. I would like to have that kind of example.
Quick wins.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So maybe first let me tell you a little short, quick story, and then I'll answer your question. The example was one of the first jobs I did in my career was in Indonesia. And I worked for an oil company, and we had a partnership with Pertamina. So our company wanted to go through a transformation. So we sent our top leaders away for a year. This company obviously was very profitable at that time. The entire senior leadership team they went off for a year. They traveled the world and met with really innovative companies.
They have a lot of money.
They sure had a lot of money in those days. It's not so profitable now. What was interesting was that when those leaders left, they were thinking that everyone thought that the senior leaders were getting transformed. But what they realized was that they were gone and the business did great. And those leaders came back and they were very humbled. They said, wow, how are we adding value to this business? And it really led to change. And I think that sometimes in organizations, the senior team, if they don't see the need to change personally, the company's not going to change. Okay, so you go somewhere else. However, if they in their hearts believe there's a need to change, then they can. I just feel like that's so important, because I see a lot of HR people spending an awful lot of energy on culture initiatives and programs and this, and then they say, oh yeah, the senior leaders don't change. So then I say, quit the activity, influence the senior leaders. You have to do that. If you cannot do that, you won't succeed. Okay? So let's assume the senior leaders want to change. So what I've observed over the last decade that I see really having an impact is what I call corporate entrepreneurship or corporate venturing. And this is where organizations open their doors to entrepreneurs, and they create incubators where there's different forms. Like Unilever, for instance, has an incubator. Initially, in Unilever's mind, because it's so big and I won't say arrogant, but it has a right to be. It's just an incredibly successful company. In their mind, they thought they were being very generous and supporting these poor little entrepreneurs who had all these startups. But what they discovered was that those little startups were amazing. And they started getting the founders of the startups to present to the different boards, because the structure of Unilever is that for each country they have their own boards. And it was humbling, because they started to see the energy and the will and the activity and what the innovation of these organizations. That's just an example. But I think that actually Unilever's been doing a huge amount to transform itself in many ways. It's pretty, very impressive. But they're not the only ones. DBS is another great example of a company that's been incubating startups in a very smart way. Stanchard's doing the same. all the technology companies do it. All the tech, like Cisco, Microsoft, they all do it. They all have these centers where they're incubating startups. Sometimes they invest in the startups. Sometimes they buy them outright, which is a happy ending for many startups. I see this fundamentally altering the organization when they do it right. When they do it in a superficial way, it doesn't change anything, right? But it's never one thing. So you have to have a number of things, but if I had to say that one thing, it would be that. And sometimes what precedes that, if you're not already doing that, what can precede it is you take your senior leaders on a tour of companies that are doing that. And I just a little story was that about 5 years ago, my organization does a lot of work with Google, and we do a lot of work in insurance. And so we were doing a leader journey with a group of these insurance leaders with Google.
Visiting.
Yeah, they went to Google. And so first of all the insurance guys, they all showed up in their coats and their ties, and they're all very formal. And the Googlers were young, and some of them were wearing shorts, and they were not overly respectful. They were nice, but they weren't, bowing to them. And these insurance leaders were used to being treated very nicely. In fact, at Google, you have to check yourself in. You sign in. No one does it for you. And all those insurance leaders stood in a circle. They didn't know what to do because they were used to their secretaries signing, doing everything for them. And a Google person came up and said, "Oh, you have to sign in yourself." So that experience triggered many fundamental changes with them. And so I would encourage you to think about kind of where you are in the journey and how you can push them.